the first question I have for you is, tell us a little bit about the beginning and how you got into the NASCAR world.
Oh man, so let's see. So I'm 32 now. I got into the sport right out of high school, like a month out of high school. So back in like the summer of 2012, I had a contact at the time. It was Martin Truex Jr.'s front tire changer. His name is Eric Maycroft, and I got his email. So I sent him a email. Just said, hey man, like how did you get into the racing world? Like what are some tips? Best way I could get in my foot in the door, essentially. And he emailed me back. He's like, hey, come out to practice. You can hang out with us. You can meet our coach and kind of see how things go, and they'll kind of evaluate, because they're not going to just let anybody show up and want to go out and hit lug nuts or carry tires, whatever it is. And so they kind of it mixed well with what they had and what they needed. So I got to kind of come out and do their development stuff for about a year and a half before I really started going full time. I didn't immediately go into like the Cup Series or even the O'Reilly Series. It was at the time it was called the Nationwide Series. So when I got in, I got to go do some ARCA stuff and then a little bit of trucks and some of the Nationwide Series. But it was a lot of back marker teams. So back, like I said, in the summer of 2012, right out of high school, I kind of got to get my foot in the door, and then it was a lot of just networking is probably the best way to put it. Just learning some contacts or people that can help you get to the racetrack. And sometimes you're not even going to the racetrack necessarily as a pit crew guy. It was a road mechanic, or it could have been, go as like you're going to change tires, but you're going to go out there for the day or day before to do tech and stuff as well. It's a little bit different now. That's not as normal, but that's kind of how I got my foot in the door. And eventually I went to Penske and went to some other teams, and now I'm back with Penske.
Before you got to where you are now, what were some of them backmarker teams?
Oh, let's see. So Carl Long used to have more of an Xfinity team that I pitted for Carl Long, and like Timmy Hill drove. Carl's a great guy. He helped me out a lot back when I was first starting out. There's a few other teams. Like there was a team called JGL that had the 24 and like the 26 car. That was probably about 10 years ago. I did some stuff with them. And heck, who knows how many truck teams might have shut down that I probably worked for. And I mean that in the most respectful way. I'm not trying to, be disrespectful. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It's interesting now looking back at my time in the sport. It's crazy to think that I've been in the sport for about 12 or 13 years consistently every weekend. And it feels like it's been like 5 or 6. So that's something that I'm constantly like blown away by. That I'm like, wow, I've been doing this a long time. There's guys that have been in the sport that just came into the sport that were in like middle school when I got into it. And I'm like, that makes me feel some kind of way. I don't like that, but
So Layne's team, have you enjoyed your time with him? And
so yes, absolutely. He's one of my, if not my favorite driver I've ever worked for. How he is on TV is exactly how he is behind the scenes with all of us. There's not a fake face with that guy. He is a down to earth kid, very cool, calm and collected overall kind of person. Very, very smart too. But honestly, to even play on with that with Layne, it's the entire road crew, our crew chief, guys in the shop that are just second to none. So me and my tire carrier, Alvin, and then my rear tire changer, Steven, we all worked for a subcontract company in 2024, and that's how we got on Layne's team. And after the end of 2024, our crew chief Dylan was like, hey, Front Row wants to hire you guys directly to be on Layne's truck, and we want to pay you guys like through a contract system. And we're like, okay, that's cool. We actually took a small pay cut, not a ton, but a small pay cut to go work for Front Row to pit Layne's truck to stay with those guys. That's how awesome those guys are.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
how
awesome.
did I got a question that just came to mind. I heard you earlier. You had said something about Penske, but you're working for Front Row. What is that? Is there like a I got a question that just came to mind. I heard you earlier. You had said something about Penske, but you're working for Front Row. What is that? Is there like a connection?
I knew that
or
question was going to come at some point. So how it kind of works, a lot of it's manufacturer based in NASCAR. A lot of it truly comes down to like who is your manufacturer, and then you have your alliances and stuff. And so how it worked out, I think the
Ford?
beginning of last year, Ford and Front Row partnered with like Ford's been with Penske, but Front Row came to Penske and they did an alliance. And so last year, Penske took over, kind of overseeing the pit crews for Front Row through the Truck Series for both Layne and Chandler, and supplying the guys and or coaching them anytime we had like, someone had to miss for that weekend. Like I got sick Bristol, spring race of Bristol last year. I couldn't make it to Bristol for that race. And then they actually had like some pit crew guys swap on the 38 for Chandler. But then Penske oversees two of the three cup cars for Front Row. So the 4 and the 34 are Penske pit crews. The 38 is a Joe Gibbs pit crew. So since Front Row is a little bit smaller budgeted cup program, they don't have their own in-house pit crews, so they subcontract those pit crews out. That's for the Cup Series
Gotcha.
and
That makes sense.
for the Truck Series. That's how that works. And that's kind of how it played into our hands. So this past year, after we were working for Front Row, we were then Penske basically was like, hey, we're going to absorb Blake and Steven, my rear changer, and we're going to take their contracts on, and we'll have them underneath our wing instead of us having to kind of like send them information on how the itinerary would look. They just said, we'll just take it all over and we'll get you guys your pit crew guys. And so that's how my contract changed from last year to this year. Is Penske was like, it's easier if it's all done underneath the Penske umbrella. And instead of it being like, we get some information from Front Row and then our pit practice is done through Penske and any information they might have, it was just easier for them to have everything underneath the Penske wing.
How motivated is this team to have a great performance at Coronado since Honeycutt is so close with you guys with 26 points? I mean, you
I
guys
think
fired up?
there's a huge motivation. I mean, so we're like my pit crew and then Caden's pit crew. We all have been in the sport for a long time. I think other than my Jackman, the rest of us have all had like 8+ years in the sport. So our Jackman is the youngest amongst us and his pit crew, but we all have like little like, going jokes with like, oh, hey, they won this weekend. Good job, guys. Congrats. Like there's a lot of camaraderie even with the teams that we go up against. But I think even that going, it's like there's deeper meaning to that as well, that we wanna beat those guys. But I mean, even for the sake of the team owner and our crew chiefs and everybody that's involved, it's like there's always a reason to go out and win. But I'll be honest, I didn't think Caden was going to be as good in Watkins Glen, and he went out there and smoked everybody. He had to drive from the back of the field to the front. I wouldn't say I wrote him off, but I didn't think he was really a road course guy. And I know he got to go out and run the ARCA race before, and I think that was a huge help for him. But Layne's talked about how he loves these challenges. He loves road course racing. I don't think it's necessarily his forte or is something that I would say is his favorite, but he knows he has to adapt and to be good at them. So there's definitely plenty of drive and ambition to go out there and win this weekend and do what we did in St. Petersburg.